All right, so episode 3 of She-Hulk Attorney at Law is available now on Disney+. This will be my non-spoiler/spoiler review. I'm going to start with the non-spoilers, and I will let you know when I'm getting into the spoilers for those of you who have not watched it yet. For that spoiler review, it'll basically be a spoiler review for episode 3 and basically the first 2 episodes as well. So if you haven't watched any of this yet, I'll tell you when to click off the video. Go watch it. Really not that long of episodes, so shouldn't take you that long. Come back and watch this video when I get to the spoilers. But as for right now, my non-spoiler review of this episode in particular, actually, I think it's one of my favorites so far, if not my favorite. The first episode was fun, but felt a little lackluster for an MCU show, especially for a premiere. It felt a little, I don't know. I really don't know how to explain how I felt about that first episode, but I didn't hate it whatsoever. I actually enjoyed it. It's just, this one didn't, I don't know, it didn't get me from the beginning completely. I mean, I'm still watching these episodes week to week, so obviously I'm still entertained by it, and I'm still interested to see what happens next, regardless of the fact that I would be covering this week to week anyways. I want to see what comes next. I want to see what cameos they have coming next, because from the trailers alone, we'll know that Daredevil's going to be in the show. The Frogman, or whatever his name is, he's going to be in the show as well. So I'm excited to see that character. And excited to see what, if there really is a main villain of this season. I'm really curious to see who that is, because we have some slight hints towards who villains could be, possibly more theories at this point than anything. So 3rd episode in, we still don't really have an overarching villain, but at the same time, I wouldn't mind if this show didn't really have a main villain to it. I really wouldn't mind if it kind of just stayed how it was in this episode, for most of it at least. I mean, this show is very different from any other Marvel Disney Plus show, any Marvel show in general, really. And some people are really going to love it, and some people are really going to hate it. Some people are going to hate it just because this is the type of thing that they like to hate on. You know, a strong female character or whatever. A lot of people, maybe not a lot of people, but a decent majority of people are going to just be immediately turned off by it and just judge it immediately without watching it, just because of that fact alone. And that's not me. I'm going to watch the show. I'm going to give it a chance. And if I don't like something, I'm going to be honest. And it's not because I'm sexist or, a chauvinist or whatever you might want to call me. I'm very honest about this stuff. If I don't like it, I don't like it. I loved Miss Marvel. That's honestly one of my favorite Marvel shows in general. Loki is one of my favorites, but yeah, I mean, this one so far, is it one of my favorites? Not quite, but it's still up there. It's above certain shows for me so far still. There's just some aspects, and I will talk about that in a second, what aspects I'm not really loving so far. But there are some aspects I'm not loving completely, and like the last episode, I didn't really care for a whole lot. I think a big drawback for this show is the runtime of the episodes. Yes, it's short and sweet, and especially in this episode, they did enough in this episode. They actually did a lot in this episode. Like, they had 2 different stories going on, and they kind of brought them together by the end. There was even a little kind of nod to it that they brought in the A and B story, and I was like, I appreciate that. But I mean, they fit so much into this episode. A lot of stuff that I really enjoyed. And in the last episode, I don't know, it just feels like they didn't do enough. I don't know. That's just me personally. In the first episode, they were introducing things, introducing her to her powers, and introducing the audience to her character. And I can appreciate that. Not my favorite first episode of any Marvel show, but hey, I still enjoyed it. And this one is kind of what I was expecting the show to be, and I'm very much liking it. So yeah, let me get to my notes here. I said not completely in love with this show, but this episode was pretty fun. Let me see here. Some of the fourth wall breaking feels a little, and it's hard to make fourth wall breaking feel organic, but I don't know. At times in this show, it feels like they do the fourth wall breaking just because they can, and just because they feel like they kind of have to as well. Like she does it twice in this episode that I noticed, maybe three times. There's one slight scene that could have been a fourth wall break, but yeah, I mean, at times it really does feel like they do it because they feel like they have to, and I don't really think that they have to every episode. This one starts off with Jen saying like, and I can say this because it was literally in the trailer, but she was saying like, don't expect this show to be a cameo every week kind of show. Oh, except for Bruce and Emil and Wong. So yeah, part of me is wondering like, are we gonna have a cameo every week now because she said that? I don't know. Maybe, possibly, probably not, but who knows. But yeah, that scene felt, I don't know, it felt like it was made more for the trailers and less for the show, kind of. Um, it just didn't really fit too much with the scene that it was in. I don't know. I don't care for it too much, at least in that particular part. But anything else, I'm fine with in terms of the fourth wall breaking. Most of it, like the A and B thing that I was talking about, that was hilarious and probably one of my favorite fourth wall breaks from the show so far. But yeah, that was funny. This show straight up calls out the douchebags who will hate on it because she's a woman. Literally, in the beginning of this episode, they're kind of calling people out with like social media posts and stuff like that. Not actual social media posts, obviously, but like one's kind of doctored for the series. Um, but yeah, this is a very, I wouldn't say self-aware show, but it kind of knows how people are going to feel about it and pokes fun at them, and also kind of calls out the people that are kind of hating on it just because they can. So yeah, there you go. The kind of stuff that I kind of expect from this show, and I don't know, it's the kind of thing you kind of expect with a strong female lead type of show, in this day and age. Very on the nose kind of stuff. But that being said, I didn't hate it here. It didn't feel completely like inorganic or annoying or cringy or anything like that. However, there is really one cringy moment at the end of this episode that I will not talk about here, but in the spoiler review I will talk about it because I didn't like that they added it. But yeah, and then I think I already said this, but I love the courtroom scenes and watching Jen kick ass as a lawyer. So those are really the scenes I like most about this show. And I really, really, really love Tatiana Maslany as Jennifer Walters / She-Hulk. I think she kills it in this role. I can't wait to see more of her going forward. I will say it feels like some of the other side characters are really just pushed to the side. Like her best friend, Nikki. I feel like we've barely seen anything from her other than just her being like, oh yeah, we got this nice office. And like, that's literally kind of how she talks. And I'm not making fun of her or anything like that, but just, I don't know, give her more to do. Jeez, she's supposed to be the best friend. Like, she seems like a good actress. She seems like she's fun. Just give her more to do. They even give this other dude that they introduced in the last episode more screen time than her. And I'm like, come on. But at the same time, I do like that guy. So, but yeah, that is all I have to say in terms of non-spoilers. So let's get into the spoilers. For those of you who have not seen episode 3 of She-Hulk, or really episodes 1 and 2, I suggest you click off, go watch them, and come back. So yeah, let's get into some spoilers here. I got 2 sides here. Oh man, I really filled up both sides of that paper. Jeez. Okay, let's start off with the beginning. By the way, this episode is called The People versus Emil Blonsky, and starts off with Jen confronting Emil Blonsky about the footage that was released of him fighting Wong in Shang-Chi. And yeah, that means that Wong is going to be in this episode, so they're reaching out to Wong, trying to get him to testify as a witness on Emil's parole hearing. So yeah, they bring him in to like be like, hey, he left with on an what did he say? He left. He didn't leave voluntarily, but he came back on his free will. There you go. So yeah, they meet Wong in this episode. Wong was fine. I mean, he's just one of those characters that shows up in everything now, and some of his lines are just kind of played as him kind of being dumb sometimes, but you know, it is what it is. I like Wong. I think he's cool. So, Dennis, the person that Jen used to work with, reaches out to help from the superhero law division and superhuman law division, my bad. And he was dating somebody who he thought was Megan the Stallion, which actually turned out to be an Asgardian shapeshifter. So I think he got like cheated out of $175,000. So Pug, I forget the actor who plays him. I don't think I have the notes anywhere. Maybe I do. Let me see. Yes, I do. Josh Segarra, who played Adrian Chase on CW's Arrow, which I really liked him there. I really like him in here as well. He's actually one of my favorite characters now. I just love this guy. Like, ever since the last episode where he gave him that little map for the best bathrooms for pooping, I'm just like, I would get along with him so well. But yeah, Augustus Puglise, I'm just going to call him Pug. He's representing Dennis and against, you know, that shapeshifter. And it's fun to watch those courtroom scenes for sure. I like watching Pug. I actually really like him as a character. I think he is like a super nice dude. I don't know, something about him I really like. But at the same time, there's something about him that I find suspicious because I think he may or may not possibly be a villain. I don't know for sure. I kind of hope he's not because I really do like him. But yeah, I like Pug. He's cool. Let me see here. Dennis. Oh yeah. I watched this episode twice, by the way. These episodes come out at 3 a.m. for me, so I usually don't stay up long enough to actually record my review, but I watched it twice, watched it earlier today, and something I picked up on was when Dennis was in Pug's office, and then, like, the shapeshifter came through, and he was on the phone with the real Dennis, and he was, like, talking about how his Cybertruck got towed. I was like, oh my god, Dennis is definitely the kind of guy to get a Cybertruck. So that shit was hilarious. I love those small little pieces of humor that you might like miss if you're not paying complete attention to it, but that shit was so fucking funny. Yeah, so we get the parole hearing for Emil Blonsky. We see his 7 soulmates, which I theorized in the last episode might be the Thunderbolts. Now I know that's not the case. It's actually 7 women. Let me see here. I like watching the courtroom scenes. I think I already said that. And I already said how I like him and I hope he's not evil. Emil can control his Hulk outs. He can control when he transforms into Abomination. He does that in front of the parole board, which at first seemed like a really bad idea, but actually kind of, you know, Jen kind of spun it around and you know, put that in his favor. So, he can also talk as Abomination, which is something we haven't seen before, so that's pretty cool. I don't think we've seen him talk before. I don't think he talked in The Incredible Hulk, but could be wrong. Oh yeah, and then Jen gives a testimony in favor of Dennis at his court case and roasts the shit out of him, but in his favor, so they end up winning the case. And then we see that Megan Thee Stallion is actually in the court watching everything go down. Dennis is like, hey, should I go try and have my shot with her? I'm like, no. Everybody around him is like, no. But Dennis does give her a good idea, gives Jen a good idea for the whole, you know, power inhibitor thing. So that's part of Emil's parole. He has to wear this inhibitor. He can't transform into Abomination. He can't do all that or else he will be right back in prison. But yes, Emil ends up getting parole. He's set free. Jen ends up going on the news because Emil's like, hey, they're going to talk about you anyway, so you might as well be a part of it. So she's on the news. You know, that goes about as well as you would think. And then on the way home, she gets attacked by some dudes with, I believe, some Asgardian weapons because she asked them, did he rob an Asgardian construction worker? And they're like, yeah. So I'm guessing those are like Asgardian weapons / tools that they have. She beats them down pretty good. Try to inject her with something. Either tried to inject her or tried to get a blood sample. But since she was in She-Hulk form, they couldn't do that. The needle broke. And on the way out, they're like, oh, the boss is going to be mad. And you're like, oh, who's the boss? Is it Kingpin Could it be Doctor Doom? Could it be Holloway? Possibly. I honestly think Holloway might be a Skrull, so who knows? I don't know who it could be. I have a couple theories, as I said, but yeah, not sure who that is. I'm sure we'll find out in a few episodes or so. So yeah, the show does have an overarching villain, most likely. And then in the after credits, we find out that Jen is now the lawyer of Megan Thee Stallion, and they throw it back to body yada yada yada. Yeah, you know that song. That song actually annoys the shit out of me. And this is the moment I found very cringy. Jen, being a lawyer for Megan Thee Stallion, I think is cool. It doesn't really make sense because she's in the superhuman law division, so I don't necessarily get that. Maybe she's doing a case against the Asgardian shapeshifter for taking her likeness, but I don't know. I don't think we're gonna see her again, most likely. I think that's just kind of a one and done joke. But yeah, the whole like seeing She-Hulk twerk thing, I was just like, oh god. See, you have all these jokes about, or not jokes, but like, you have all these people pissed off about strong female characters and shit like that, and superheroes and stuff, like female superheroes, and they literally make fun of it in the beginning of the episode. And then they do stuff like, having Nikki send a thirst trap to Wong and have She-Hulk twerk at the end of the episode. And those two things I find to be so cringy in this series, because in a way I feel like it's kind of doing the opposite of what they should be, kind of putting out there. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Hopefully I didn't piss anybody off with my review for that, but it is what it is if I did, so fuck it, whatever. But yeah, there's my non-spoiler and spoiler review of She-Hulk episode 3, again titled The People versus Emil Blonsky. What did you think of this episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Comment down below. No spoilers in the comments for, the people that are here for the non-spoiler portion. Leave a like on the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Pop Culture Podcast, and I will see you in the next one.